Welcome back to the Daily Wrap Up right here on C Today. And we're still in the middle of the discussion about the golden age of startups, specifically here in Indonesia. We have two special guests with me right now, Mas Rian and of course, Mas Ananto as well. How are you guys doing?
Cool.
Awesome.
Mas Yoga and Mas Rian. So,
Doing great.
what do you think? We talked about Semaai and Dagangan, right? And now my next question would be, out of curiosity, what is the current impact of your outreach towards rural areas? How many users do you have? Mas Yoga, you can start first this time.
Well, currently we have about 500 toko tanis under our, that are regularly buying from us, and then we also serve them, and we give them also, training in agronomy and so on and so forth. Yeah, about that.
Okay, so and you've mentioned before that each toko tani can serve up to 5,000 farmers directly, right? 1,000 farmer. That
typically 200 to 500 farmers, but then again, some toko tanis are bigger than others, so they can serve up to 1,000 farmers. So in a way, this gives us access to beyond just the toko tanis, but also the thousands farmers that comes with them.
Okay, so Mas Rian, what about you? The Dagangan, how much outreach and how many users are there in the rural areas, in rural communities?
We have 25,000 users across 8,000 villages and 3 provinces: Central Java, West Java, and Yogyakarta. We are entering Banten, East Java, Madura, and probably in the next couple of months, Kalimantan, where the new capital city will be located. We are helping more than 2,000 ibu-ibu or moms, increasing their income by 30%. And we create more than 400 new jobs right now in those 8,000 villages.
Amazing. It's good to see this boost in digital economy, because this is what the G20 presidency is all about, right? The drive to boost digital economy. So as two startups playing in this field, what do you think about it? Can we effectively, reach our target of boosting our digital economy in the next year or two, in the next 4 years of G20 presidency next year? Gentlemen, hello?
Okay, I'm going to start first then.
Whoever wants to start first, okay, Mas Rian.
Anyway. So actually, if you talk about G20, we're talking about a couple of issues. Women empowerment, that's why most of our agent and resellers are women. We're talking about job creation. That's why we also care about it. We're also talking about environmental impact. By the way, we're also indirectly helping it, because before we are around, they have to go to the cities back and forth to get their supplies. So means like 100 motorbikes going to the cities and back to the villages. Now, from 100 motorbikes, it's only probably 1-2 motorbikes, because they don't have to go to the cities. Dagangan is in the villages. They can just buy from us, right? So I think that's what we are doing. But I think addressing your questions regarding how we can really push this forward using the momentum is how the founders can really roll off the sleeves and get their hands dirty. Because if you're just sitting in Singapore and Jakarta and then try to driving the things mobile, I don't think things are actually going to move, right? You have to be there. I'm doing road trip every 2 weeks, visiting these random cities, remote areas, right? And making sure people know what we're doing and we can work together to deliver impact.
Oh, nice. And Mas Yoga, what about you?
I think that's also relevant. Yeah, we are basically living in a time where technology is enabling and accelerating change. Also, technology is connecting people, and it goes beyond borders. So you can get I hire people from India, from Indonesia, from Vietnam, from Eastern Europe. We met a lot of these people in our team. Men and women. And the proportion is 50-50 between men and women. So especially in the agri sector, the opportunity to drive digital economy through technology is huge, because nobody's been able to do that on a massive scale, right? And we are locked in, and we are on a mission to do just that.
So this is, great news. I mean, we've talked about before how Indonesia currently is one of the leading countries with, successful startups, unicorns and decacorns and so on and so forth, which makes Indonesia a very hot investment pool for startups. And you both just secured some really, really major big investments like Semaai, you got 1.25 million from Sequoia Search and B Next, while Dagangan, you also just received 11.5 million US dollars from Monks Hills Ventures. To somebody who is currently planning to start their own startup, how were you able to track these kind of investments? I mean, Mas Rian can answer first.
Well, even companies that have been operating for 100 years can fail. Even startups that have raised $100 million or $1 billion can fail. So I think it's very difficult for investors to justify whether the business is going to work or not. So what they typically do is they're assessing the founders. Right? What are the values of the founders? How good is the reputation, and how far they have actually done and deliver impact. And that's exactly where we started. Before starting Dagangan, I used to be in the renewable energy startup, electrifying places in Indonesia that is not electrified yet. And beforehand, I even worked for the government. Right? So I think that kind of qualities that we really want to deliver. It's not merely about building the business. We're building a sustainable movement to really deliver impact to the society. Right?
Nice. Mas Yoga, what do you think?
For me, there's not really a secret source here for this. Of course, having a good connection, a good degree, getting relevant people on board is also very important. But then again, the most important thing is to keep building a good and sustainable business, just like Mas Rian said also. So we started this thing because we saw inefficiencies in the value chain, and we just decided that we want to, kind of improve the farmer's life, right? So we started doing our business, and we just kept going on. I mean, in my opinion, you don't need to look for investors. I mean, if you think what you're doing is good, you just keep doing it. Keep doing it. I mean, keep helping people, and eventually, people will start noticing, and investors will definitely come to you.
Because impact speaks more than 1,000 words in itself.
Exactly.
And eventually you did attract these investors. And my last question would be, with the pandemic still ongoing, how has it been so far, and what is next for 2022 for your particular startup? Mas Yoga, you can start first this time.
Well, I see that there are some businesses that have trouble coping with the pandemics, but on the brighter side, we also see there are also some businesses that are blossoming during the pandemic. So I think we should see this also as a positive, from the positive point of view. And as for Semaai itself, we are born in the pandemic. So I can't really say that our business is affected, because we don't know what we would be without the pandemic. But one thing is for sure, with or without the pandemic, people will still need to eat, right? So there is really no excuse for us not to keep moving forward in terms of helping to improve the sector.
That's so great to hear. And Mas Rian.
One word that popping up in my mind is education. It's not easy to educate our children, right? Sometimes we cannot just tell them do this or don't do this until they experience something that is kind of hurting them and make them in a difficult situation. Then they will kind of understand what we were saying previously, right? So I think to educate people and changing the lifestyle or the habits is very difficult. But once the pandemic happened, they don't have options. They have to do things with social distancing. They have to do online shopping. This is something that rural people don't actually used to do it, right? But now they don't have options, and we are the only option they have. And we don't want to try exploiting it for our good. We really want to deliver impact. So that's where the synergy happened. And since the pandemic started till now, we have grown 30 times. So it's a blessing in disguise for us.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the digital economy has been blossoming ever since the pandemic because people have no choice but to shift their lifestyles into the digital economy. So hopefully more and more startups and more unicorns and decacorns will, evolve and come up from Indonesia. Gentlemen, it was so nice speaking to you. Thank you so much for sharing your stories, because you guys have been, giving so much impact to the rural communities that are affected by the pandemic more previously, because they are not as literal. Their literacy in the digital world is not as well as the urban communities. So thank you for what you're doing, and please continue. So success to both of you and your startups.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rian, Mas
Thank you.
Yoga, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you so
me.
much.